From the very first play, the Nittany lads assume control and cap off a perfect September. They know it's not good enough.
Definitely feel like we've been playing pretty well so far, but I feel like we're not playing our best football yet.
Time to step up as they step back into a Big Ten schedule.
They may not have the star power up front, but their secondary is really, really talented.
4 wins and now ranked 4th in the country. Non-conference opponents are in the past. Indiana is the present concern with an eye towards the future. Nittany Game Week is ready for kickoff. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Nittany Game Week. I'm Andrew KALISTA alongside Coach Jay Paterno and Coach Tom Bradley. Thanks for joining us. Can't stay undefeated in October if you are not perfect in September. As expected, Penn State with a comfortable victory against Villanova. Anything about the win, though, surprise you guys?
Some of the things offensively stalled a little bit here and there. You know, they had the ball, they got the ball at midfield 5 times against Villanova, only got 7 points. You'd like to see an offense really put the knife in them and finish them in those drives.
Yeah, I thought the same thing just watching the game, you know, when they then the big plays, and of course they were getting with the big plays constantly, and it took a little bit away from the game, maybe what they really had planned, because when you score that quickly and that suddenly, it changed a little bit of your game plan.
They weren't too joyous after the game. The overall win streak for the Nittany Lions extends to 8 consecutive games. We may not score on the very first play from scrimmage, but we'll go strong start in our opening drive. Sean Clifford earned his first Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week award. We mentioned the long score on the first play. He also connects 4 TD scores of 83 yards, 52 and 23. 4 TDs, 401 yards in the air for Cliff. The big plays stake them to a lead and put some distance between themselves and the Wildcats.
Yeah, I think he came out, right, like you said, right off the bat. Villanova says, okay, we're going to go man-to-man out here, and he took advantage of it. And I don't think Villanova's got anybody that can cover Dotson one-on-one. But I think, you know, he mixed the ball around. The 83-yard touchdown pass is one every quarterback likes, where you throw it to the sideline and a guy goes 80 yards with the ball and you look like you have a big pass.
That makes it pretty easy. Career day in the stats department for Cliff. He's not happy, though, with the offensive unit's overall performance.
You can't just let a whole day slip away. And I thought that we did that Wednesday, and I think that it honestly reflected a lot in this game. We still won, but there's a lot of stuff that can be cleaned up. So.
And that's in reference to last Wednesday's practice. We'll talk more about their lack of a run game in a minute. The only other quarterback to throw for more than 400 yards in a game for Penn State, Christian Hackenberg with 454 against UCF in 2014 in Ireland. Clifford and the offense didn't have a ton of pressure to score because the defense was in control of this game, coaches.
You know, that's one of the things the defense had him. It was one of those games, you get the big plays, you get the big scores, and it was a difficult day to put together what your real game plan was, but just by the way the flow of the game went.
Yeah, and I think defensively, one of the things that I was looking for is can they get pressure with 4 guys, and you know, they had to blitz to get to Villanova's quarterback, which you really want to see them get there with 4 guys more often than they did.
Derek TANGELO thinks his pairing with Mustafa up front can cause some problems for the opponents.
You know, PJ, that's my dog. You know, he's like one of my inspirations. Just on how hard he works. You know, how he comes to work every day with a mindset that we got to get better. We got to do what we got to do. So just feeding off of him, you know, building chemistry with him, I definitely feel like that's helped both of us a lot. Yeah, I definitely feel like we've been playing pretty well so far, but I feel like we're not playing our best football yet.
The interesting thing, when you have 2 big-time down guys, the things that it causes your defense or your offense is just, you don't know who you want to double. Who's the guy we want to focus on? You know, you go back, and I'm going back to my day at Penn State when you had Bruce Clark and Matt Millen. You know, who do you pick? Yeah. So that's a great problem to have, and one that the defense, where do you slide your protection? Who are you worried about? What matchup do you want? So that you get pushed inside. Plus push, you know, a lot of times too with those guys, tips and overthrows. They help a lot too.
Hey, I think of Spice Adams and Jimmy Kennedy with 2 defensive tackles. They were able to change football games. Penn State improves to 4-0, never in danger in this game. However, by the tone of those post-game press conferences, which I mentioned, have to describe this as an unsatisfying victory, especially when you look at the issues with the ground attack.
No question. I mean, when you're playing Villanova and you get the field possession Penn State got, they've got to be able to take that ball and run downhill and put that thing away without having to rely on passing the ball so much.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm sure that they're disappointed in from Saturday. They probably want to get the run game started, but you got to take what they give you, and they gave them some. First play of the game, 0. You get them up over the top, you got to take that.
Take advantage when you can do it. Clifford admitted to some sloppiness in practice for the team. Coach Franklin said they would quickly get back to work after the Villanova victory.
To me, if we have the team that I think we do, they want that. They want us to coach them hard and make the corrections. Again, I don't want to do it after a win, but there's things that we got to get fixed and get fixed quick.
Yeah, you don't want to kill them after you bring home a W.
Well, if you're not happy with the way they played, you give them 12 hours, then you get after them and you kill them, you coach them hard, and I think that's what they'll end up doing. And he alluded to that. Absolutely.
Bottom line is coach and the players know they need to play better to win the Big Ten. Time for Coach Bradley to hand out his scrap medal. We mentioned getting back into Big Ten play. Tom, you like the way the wideout steps up to help Jahan Dotson in the passing games in more ways than one.
Well, everybody focuses on Jahan. They know all about him. But Parker Washington, 5 catches, 148, 2 touchdowns. Hey, 30 yards a catch, come on. He got to get the award this week.
He's doing something right. Here he is. Just watch Parker Washington. Clifford, he's going to study. He knows that the matchup is coming. And this is just a bullet on this little skinny post. That's an easy pitch and catch for those guys right there. Still to come, our scouting report on the Hoosiers. They have 2 losses already. This is a good squad coming to Happy Valley. Coach Bradley and Coach Paterno show us what makes Indiana a dangerous opponent. You're watching Nittany Game Week.
Tom Bradley's Scrap Medal is sponsored by Team DUI, creating a safer and healthier environment for everyone in the Commonwealth. Scouting Report is sponsored by Penn State Health, giving you the care you want, where you want it. Visit PennStateHealth.org to find a provider near you.
We're back on Nittany Game Week. Time to scout this week's opponent. Indiana, the Hoosiers have already played 2 teams ranked in the top 10, Iowa and Cincinnati. Penn State makes 3. They bring a 2-2 record to Happy Valley. And as our experts are about to tell us, they are very capable of walking off the field at Beaver Stadium with a road victory. Guys, break it down for us.
Thanks, Andrew. This is a dangerous football team, no matter any way you look at it. And Tom and I are going to tell you about some things you got to look out for on Saturday night, that is. Tom, let's talk a little about right off the bat their run game and talk about what they do in short yardage. Really effective, 20 of 22 in short yardage plays. Inside zone, cutback. Talk a little about how hard this is on a defense.
This is tough on a defense because of the way their blocking scheme is, and they do this play as well as anybody I've seen in a long time. Just watch those helmets coming off the ball and knocking people back.
No doubt. And then to keep their stuff good, when they come off these plays, they're going to do some things to play action and reverses. We'll talk about the reverse first here. They run, fake the inside run. That you look at that wide out in orange, who's going to come around on the reverse and see how effective it is.
They're making sure the defense eyes are good. You never want to have dirty eyes on defense, they call it. So this is a chance for them to get that good skill player coming around the edge with some speed.
Yeah, and they've got some skill guys. Now, number 7's out for them, which will be a big loss, but their other wideout, Freifogel, is really, really good. Then we talk about the play-action pass. The tight end, Hendershot, is really, really good. Here they're going to make a real hard run fake. The offensive line comes off aggressive. You always talk about look for high hats, low hats. Well, watch this on tape.
For sure, excellent. And one of the things they're going to want to do this week is get that quarterback out of the box, get him out of there. That helps against pass rush too when that quarterback can run, get him moving.
No question. And when you talk about getting him, you mentioned that, it segues right nicely into the next thing. Sprint out passes. I think he's most comfortable throwing on the run as you look at him. Talk about how the sprint out really makes that slows down your pass rush.
Well, it does, because now everybody's got to make sure we keep him on our inside shoulder, okay? And if he gets outside the pocket, now he can also run the ball, which causes you some other problems. But he's most effective when he's moving.
Yeah, no question. So look for that when you're watching Penn State Saturday night, how they handle Penix with his mobility and getting him outside the pocket. Now let's talk about their defense. Now, you look at their base defense, they're a 2 safety high defense. They're a 4-2-5, so they're really 5 defensive backs. Those safeties play high. They're aggressive against the run, and then you get a matchup on the slot with that 5th defensive back. Penn State's got to look to take advantage of that. Now take a look at the video and see how aggressive they are in the run game. A lot of downhill attack, trying to penetrate and disrupt your zone schemes and your blocking schemes up front. And again, this is a very, very good run defense that Penn State's playing. And given the problems they've had running the football, could be a big challenge for them.
Yeah, I like their up front four guys. I know not a lot of sacks, but they're very steady against the run.
No doubt about it. And take a look at now, third down. One of the things they do with number 47, Micah McFadden, who's their really, really good linebacker. We'll talk about it later. Four-man pass rush, a lot of three-player twists. Take a look at the video. The three-player twist becomes very difficult because that offensive tackle is going to pass that defensive end all the way to the center. Here the center loses them. And Tom, you used to run a lot of these and drove us nuts in practice.
Yeah, we did. We like those three-man picks, bringing them the whole way around because, once again, communication comes into it.
Yeah, and they get up there, and again, somebody loses a guy, next thing you know, your quarterback's throwing off his back foot. Now, we talk about McFadden. He'll line up a defensive end. He'll also line up a linebacker on their third down. They're a very good third down team. Again, he's going to come up here and make an inside move. Take a look at the video on this one. He sets that guard up outside. The back has to help, which then leaves other people one-on-one, and now the quarterback's under pressure. And you can see, again, how effective he is, how effective they are getting on the field. They were, McFadden led the Big Ten in sacks last year. Not quite as good this year as he was, but we'll see how that goes on Saturday night. And then when you look at their linebackers, taking a look at the next thing, really good downhill attackers. They're really aggressive on the ball. Take a look at this one. You're going to see number 4 show up here in a hurry. And I think this running back probably remembers that hit. So, again, they're going to try and tie up Penn State's up front guys, freeing those linebackers up. And then the last thing I want to talk about, just a quick shot of video. They like to shift at the line of scrimmage right before the snap. Again, two things it does. It makes your quarterback, when you're on the line trying to change plays, the front changes, but also gets guys to jump, and they got Cincinnati to jump a couple times. But speaking of jump, back over to you, Andrew, and you finish us up.
Guys, thanks a lot. I'm going to break down some goal line pylon referee mechanics on Twitter. Appreciate it. Another primetime game on Saturday night. That allows for more Friday night recruiting for Coach James Franklin and his staff. Just jump into the helicopter and make the rounds. Our cameras spar to Coach Franklin, watching one of his class of 22 quarterbacks commit to Bo Prabula at Central York High School in York County. Talk about pressure to perform. Your future college coach watches your every move, as you expect from a top-end prospect. He delivers the ball beautifully to his receivers. Prabula and Central York advanced all the way to the state championship game last season, where they lost to Cal McCord and St. Joe's Prep. McCord just started last week for Ohio State. Prabula and the Panthers remain undefeated so far in 2021. Time to take a break. When we come back, our impact interview. He got it, Penn State to a national championship at quarterback, and he's calling this week's game against Indiana. Todd Blackledge joins the crew coming up when Nittany Game Week returns. We're back on Nittany Game Week. Time for our impact interview. We go back to 1982 national champs. Running back Kurt Warner last week. Now it's time for the quarterback turn. Todd Blackledge, who is calling the Penn State-Indiana game for ABC. Todd, thanks for joining us. Start with an impact question. This is the impact interview, so we want to start with that question about the impact that Penn State had on your life, having come from a football coaching family and being a great Phi Beta Kappa at Penn State. What kind of impacts did your experience in this football program have on your professional life?
Well, I think it had affected me in a lot of ways. First of all, to go to a place where we were able to compete at a very high level for every year that I was there. And, we weren't in a conference at the time. We weren't in the Big Ten. We were an independent school. But we played in major bowl games. We played a lot of big TV games, and then ultimately won a national championship my senior year. So that was the first way that it impacted me and impacted my football career. But at the same time, going there and being at Penn State, where Coach Paterno put a real emphasis on not just being a great player, but being a great student and going to class and doing the right things, doing things the right way, handling your business the right way. And I think just having that balance throughout my time at Penn State and really trying to keep those things all at the same high level helped me just for whatever I was going to do in life. Obviously I got to play in the NFL for a while, but I've been doing broadcasting for a whole lot longer. And so, part of my preparation at Penn State was for what I'm doing now and what I've really enjoyed doing.
Todd, well, football is certainly important. No discussion of a Todd Blackledge broadcast would be complete without some mention of food. I consider you the Guy Fieri of college football. And your segment, Takes the Town, returns after a 7-year hiatus, by the way. I have the book. Are you as excited about that as everybody else is?
Yeah, I really am. I mean, it's the crazy thing, Jay, is that even though I hadn't done it for 7 years, people still thought I was still doing it. I mean, even though I hadn't done it for so long, people are still asking me when I'd run into them, where are you going to eat this week? And I was like, well, dude, I haven't done that for 7 years, but and so when I decided to bring it back this year, not only was I excited, fans were excited, everybody on our crew, I mean, our whole production crew loved Taste of the Town, loved being a part of it. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we've had 3 really good weeks of it so far.
Hey, Todd, everyone knows about your film-intensive preparation for the football part of your broadcast. As we looked at the Indiana film, we saw a team whose turnovers and untimely mistakes cost them a win against Cincinnati. For Penn State fans, who may you think this is a walkover type of game? What threats do you see with Indiana?
Well, first of all, I think they're better than their record suggests, at 2-2. And you mentioned it. I mean, there are a lot of statistics in college football that a lot of them you can kind of throw out the window, don't always mean that much. But turnover and turnover margins, that is always going to be a telling statistic. So in the 2 games they lost against 2 really good teams, Iowa in the opener and Cincinnati, both top 10 teams, they had 6 interceptions, and they had a costly fumble in the Cincinnati game, also down on the 2-yard line. So those are the kind of mistakes that really hurt Indiana. I do think they're a better team. I think, if you're an Indiana fan, the thing you feel better about after even the Cincinnati game, even though Michael Penix threw a couple bad interceptions, he still made a lot of really good plays in that game. And he played really well last week on the road against Western Kentucky. So I think from his mental standpoint, being back from the injury, feeling comfortable with his knee, confident in what he's doing, I think he's probably in the best place he's been in to this point in this season. And I think he has the skill set to give them a chance in this ballgame.
For many years when the team buses pulled up to Beaver Stadium, Coach Joe Paterno, the starting person was the first person to get out of the bus, one signifying the importance of your leadership. Some say that tradition started with you. Is that true?
I don't know if it started with me. I know we did it, and that was something that we did, and that was always, there's so many. Here's what I love about college football, that you don't get in pro football. I mean, obviously, pro football is a higher level of ball, better players, better coaches across the board, but college football's got their traditions, right? They've got the game day rituals and traditions all across America, and for us to do that, those blue buses to come rolling up to the stadium, and it was an honor and a treat to sit by Joe on the way up there. The thing I used to laugh at, though, I never said this, of course, but we'd be rolling up there, and all the fans, they're lining up, they're all yelling, "Go get him, Joe! Have a great game, Joe! Go get him!" I'm thinking, Joe's not going to make a tackle today. He's not going to throw it. But that was just the reverence and the respect that people have for Coach Paterno.
Todd's going to stay with us a little bit while longer. We're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. We will continue our interview with Mr. Todd Blackledge. So if you want to see the entire conversation with the former Nittany Lions National Championship quarterback and current color commentator for ABC and ESPN, make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire interview along with other web exclusive content. When we come back, we have some pride picks to share with you. We also give you some names and numbers to remember from the Hoosiers to keep in mind when you sit down to watch the game. We're heading into the final minutes right here on Nittany Game Week. We're back. Warning, warning. Some of you may find this video disturbing to watch. The season opener last year against the Hoosiers. Devin Ford, don't go in, hesitates at the goal line too late. He's in just what Indiana wants, and the last-minute drive down the field to score the TD. And Michael Penix with the slippery moves to tack on 2 points, perhaps the most talked about play in the regular season. Penix stretches for 2 in overtime. Watch it. I warned you, the pylon's coming either after or before he reaches the goal line. Ref says it's good. That's all that matters. A walk-off winner for the Hoosiers. That remains a tough loss to take. PJ Mustipher says, not a revenge game, okay? How do you think the players and coaches approach this one against the Hoosiers?
Well, I think you better take this game very, very seriously. Forget about the 2-2 record. Forget about last year. It's not going to get you any touchdowns. It's not going to get you any first downs. Move on.
Absolutely. That last year's game doesn't mean a thing. You know what? Everybody remembers that they're going to be ready to play. You got a big game, 7:30 at night, your stadium. Let's go.
Defense could use it for some motivation, though. That's always good, right? Here are some names and numbers to remember about this week's opponent, the Hoosiers.
Mentioned Freifogel at wideout. He was the Big Ten wideout of the year last year. The offensive line in Indiana against Penn State D-line, that's a good matchup to watch. Running back's a transfer, and Hendershot is a really good tight end.
You know, one of the things is here, if you don't know who to watch, just follow the number 3s. Number 3 on offense and number 3 on defense for Indiana.
Yeah, because you look at number 3 on defense.
Yeah, the linebackers, you know, he's tremendous. Number 3 is a great cover guy. Should be a good matchup wherever he is on the Penn State wide receivers.
Yeah, Mullen was a first-team All-American last year by the Football Writers of America, and I think he's going to be a guy to watch. And really watch where he lines up. Does he go with Dotson? Do they try and get that matchup? Because I think that'd be a really good one.
That will be one to watch. Don't miss our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com, which includes these local businesses. Our goal is to build a team in the community that supports the show and that you, in turn, support as a viewer to keep the hometown strong. If you haven't noticed yet, we have a lot to share with you. For example, a 25-minute interview with former Penn State captains Michael Motti and Michael Zordich about the release of a new film, Saving the Roar, which chronicles the 2012 team. You can check it out at NittanyGameWeek.com along with other web exclusive content. We finished the show with some pride picks. Love to see the Nittany Lions spirit out and about at games wherever you are watching. For Jay, Coach Bradley, I'm Andrew. Thanks for checking out Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.